Hi, I'm Venk,
And I'm Jaya.
and this is the Reality Hate episode 40.
Very exciting.
We have 51 subscribers,
51.
but we would like more subscribers. And do you know how
Yeah.
you can do that for us? By subscribing. So you can click the subscribe button. You can also like our videos because you should like our videos, and then click the notification bell at the top, ding, or at the bottom, ding. Click the notification bell, and you can be notified when our next episode comes out, which will be next week.
Yes.
Um, Miss Jaya Subramaniam, we have a little bit to cover here. We have an episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, but then we have
Yes, we are covering.
Housewife and the Shah Shocker.
Yes, the
You know what the
Housewife and the
shocker
Shah
is?
Shocker. What?
You know what the shocker is?
I do know what the shocker is. Do you want to show people?
No.
Oh,
How do you know?
isn't it this?
But and then
Oh, wait, this.
hang time.
That's right,
Let's
this.
put our fingers together. Let's shock each other. Buzz. We like to shocker each other.
Well, anyway, should we get into it?
Let's.
Recap.
Okay. Well, I would say that this episode was a lot of just talking about what they think happened and whether they like Jen Shah or not.
I mean, the opening scene was them at dinner, and I was just like, I hate everybody, and I hate this whole situation because first, the only thing that came out of that is, of course, how much I love Heather Gay, because she just found another way to slam Mormonism, the cult, and she was like, former me would have been like all judgmental, but like, we don't know, and look at all these women turncoats.
That's true. And you know what? She's the only one that's been like, I don't think abandoning her is being a true friend.
I
So
mean,
she's loyal. She's a loyal friend who sticks by people's side, which I like. Lisa flipped on a dime and in that conversation. She went from being Jen's friend, although she didn't invite her to her son's benefit, to she feels deceived. She can't trust her. She doesn't know who she is. You froze. You are frozen. You're back.
So she was deceived. That's where we left off. She was deceived.
Oh, that she can't be trusted. She doesn't know who the real Jen Shah is, even though she's been stirring the pot, trying to create trouble between Whitney and Heather and anyone else that comes in, that is coming for Jen Shah, that is in, to befriend Jen Shah. She does, she's been really trying to cause trouble.
And it's just for me with Lisa, I'm over it. And then Mary
Lisa is the worst.
Mary is just like, I've always hated her. And I'm like, Mary Gremlin, you need to go. You are a gremlin.
I also feel like going back to it, like Lisa crying and making a big scene at that dinner. I feel like Lisa knows a little more than she's letting on.
Of course.
And that is the thing. Everybody knows that Lisa knows more. And she's like laying it out there, but not showing all her cards. And so like, she's like, everyone's like, just tell us what you know. And she won't reveal a thing.
She's like that friend that will be like, oh my gosh, I have something to tell you, but I can't tell you. And I'm like, then don't even bring it up. I hate people like that.
I do too. And then there's Jenny who's like, I don't know her that well, but innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. And Jenny doesn't give a shit.
No, Jenny's worried about her own stuff and her own story.
And she's like, I'm a terrible mom and a terrible wife because I won't be a sister wife. I got to make this story last. First of all, I think that whole story is a lie. I mean, if she
does, about Jenny,
I think Jenny's whole story is manufactured.
I think so too. She's not interesting. There's nothing telling.
Something to stay on. That whole that is not a normal conversation you would film on camera. Like, I don't keep. They've filmed a lot of shit on camera, but this conversation is like one of those things like you wouldn't.
Well, and then here's the other thing to bring it back. So I guess the women were getting weird text messages from Jen, like recently. Very aggressive, very angry texts.
Well, they didn't know it was from Jen, but Lisa's like, well, how do Lisa's accent? How does Lisa sound?
Sorry, I'm chewing ice.
Okay.
I don't know. Have all of you been getting weird texts from Jen?
And like the how they figured out everything was because of the way Jen because of the way whomever was texting wrote because
right.
And the only person I know, because everyone else, how does everybody else put? I don't put B, I'll put C-U-Z.
Right. So I guess I didn't pick up on that. So they weren't clear that it was Jen. I thought only Lisa wasn't clear, but they all were not sure, but they knew it was Jen.
I mean, this woman's a monster.
I mean, she's crazy. So anyway, Meredith becomes enraged at everybody, like saying, like, basically Meredith was enraged at Heather saying, like, I'll still be your friend. We don't know the full facts, you know. I would visit her if she goes to prison, yada yada yada. Meredith is angry and feels like I sort of began to open the door again, but now I don't trust her. I don't like her. I want nothing to do with her. We will never be in the same room. Also, by the way, did you know I hired a private investigator to look into her after she was attacking my family?
I have a question. Have you ever been to prison? Have you ever visited prison?
No.
I visited a federal state penitentiary.
You did?
Yeah. So my friend went away for 2 years because he was distributing large masses worth of things that people shouldn't be
illegal things.
Yeah, illegal things. And so we were like our group of friends at the time. This is when I was young and stupid and first moved to LA. And a group of us, and we were all
Where was he, like Bakersfield?
Like 2 hours in the desert. Oh. So we had to fill out all this paperwork, but it said like no blue out pieces of clothing. So I was like, okay, well, I'll wear khakis because I thought like they meant no jeans, but like that's not what they meant because there were people with jeans there. So anyway, we all wake up at like 6:37. I'm driving with his girlfriend. Everybody, it's like 2 sports cars. These are like, I mean, it was like I was with like 3 other Asians, but they were like 2 were Korean, 1 was Chinese, and then there was me, Indian. But like the 2 girls had like Gucci purses, and the guy was dressed all in black. And like we looked probably the best dressed there. So we park, and then we get past this first security, and then we are in a car. We're in a bus, and that will take us to whatever building this person's in. They're like building A, like block A or whatever. So there is a lady who is wearing a wedding dress. Everything happened that was supposed to happen. So I witnessed my very first. So we all have to. So I get in, and then we see our friend, and we all have to sit down, and we sit semicircle. So we're all facing, and then like. And my buddy was like, look over there, look at that guy and girl like making out. And I'm like, what? He's like, she's passing heroin to him. So then a week later, he called me on the cell phone. You're not allowed to have cell phones, but like,
I mean, are they allowed to kiss? Like, I didn't think.
No, I mean, yeah, they're allowed to kiss, but like, I guess later he got caught because he was going to the bathroom and a bag of heroin came out the other end. So anyway, I witnessed a wedding. Then like the guy who was taking pictures with everybody, I was like, he seems so nice. What'd he do? He's like, 20 years ago, he murdered like 5 people. And I'm like, what? So
you
then
getting married?
No. The photographer. Everybody has a job in prison. So the photographer had killed some people. Then I was like, when I first saw my friend, I started like tearing up. And it was like, he's like, don't do that. Like, they're going to think you're gay. And then they're going to like mess with me. so stop crying. And I'm like, well, I am gay. And he's like, yeah, but don't do that here. Like, because they'll like, they won't, it's prison.
That's
So,
crazy.
so anyway, then we were in the bus back to our cars after this like 4 hours of hanging out or whatever. And this lady wearing this wedding dress, she loved her wedding dress. It was the most hideous thing I've ever seen.
Aww.
And the lady sitting next to her, now, like, these are like, these are people that like probably voted for Trump. So America's finest, if you will. Everybody was staring at us because we all looked very glamorous. It looked like we were from the mafia. So one of the ladies turns to the bride because she's like, she just got married, but then she has to leave. She can't stay because she needs to wait 6 months before she can have conjugal visits. And the lady goes, your dress is just so beautiful. And me and my friend, the girl who was dating the guy in federal state prison, we just busted out laughing.
Aw, see, I feel bad.
Well, that wasn't what I wanted you to feel. It was hilarious.
Wouldn't you feel bad if you were that person?
Honey, I don't know what led somebody to think that they should get married to somebody who is in prison.
Never know.
I know, but
friend had a boyfriend in prison and she was sticking with him.
Yeah, she was sticking with him because there was a funnel of millions of dollars.
But we never know. We never know.
By the looks of that dress, it was. Let me just say, it wasn't.
She has really bad taste.
Yeah, but even she could have. But just don't.
Moving on.
Sorry, should I cut that out?
No. Thanks. Experience in federal prison. Yeah, so anyway, they decide to contact. They decide to contact Jen. Of course, her mailbox is full and she doesn't answer. And the end of the conversation, I sort of feel like, is Heather is willing to still be her friend. Jenny is willing to still be her friend. Meredith hates her. Mary hates her. Lisa, I guess, hates her. We'll see what happens when they like deceived. And they move on to Mary Cosby, right? Meredith and Lisa discuss Mary Cosby. Again, Lisa sort of tells the story of what happened to her friend Cameron, but she won't really reveal anything, She just basically says that Mary is not at the church often, but when Mary shows up, her worshipers are basically in awe of her. And she just won't say much. And so Meredith says, like, I'm frustrated that you won't really give me any answers, but I'm going to have a conversation with Mary because I'm very uncomfortable.
As she should. I'd be uncomfortable. It was all set up. Lisa's about to like take a real hit. Like this reunion is going to be like a Lisa hate fest.
Yeah, it's going to be a Lisa hate fest. And then one of the other big things we see before we see Jen Shah is Heather meets up with a cousin that she or not a cousin, a sister.
Yeah.
Who lives close by in Colorado. We find out that Heather grew up in Colorado and she sort of cut ties with the sister when the sister went outside the Mormon church. And so now they're going to try it. They're building their relationship again and she's going to spend some time. So we're going to meet Heather's sister.
I mean, like, all of this makes the Mormon church look so bad.
I mean,
people disassociate, like, and by the way, let's just call it, like, they said up until the 70s or 80s, like, if you were Black, it's because God was punishing you or something.
I mean, it's just not good.
And anybody that looks into a hat that isn't, like, I don't know, a nice hat.
Harry Potter's hat.
Yeah. I mean, like, I just think it's all a bunch of bullshit.
It is.
But I'm not like me in religion, like, but this is just like.
It's crazy. It's cuckoo.
It's cuckoo bananas.
Cuckoo bananas. So we then get to Jen, who is meeting with her lawyer. She's charged with fraud and money laundering. She says she's innocent. Her lawyer says she's innocent, but they're waiting for discovery. I don't think Jen's innocent. And she says that the only fault she has is that she's too giving.
Giving to herself.
And then she's still claiming on the phone call, because there was the phone call where she was tipped off, that she was not tipped off, that someone did call and tell her Sharif was sick and she needed to leave now.
Lies.
No, she was taking her mic off. She knew she was in trouble. You could see the look in her eyes. Yeah. She had to run. She wasn't going to be arrested in front of those women. But she's lying, to save herself. The shred that she has left.
But dude, does she actually think we believe this shit?
I think she does, because she really did a dumb thing. I mean, when you watch the docuseries on her, it's like there were a million clues that she shouldn't do this. Her previous company was investigated, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So anyway, then they have this dinner. Let's just get to the end of it. They have this dinner where they're all dressed up in Swedish clothing. Have you been to Vail?
No, actually.
I have. I went with an ex-boyfriend whose parents had a house there. It's very charming. The little town is very cute. And it does have that like
German. Isn't it a little bit like Slovene? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Nicer.
Yes.
Not as like kitschy.
And mountains,
obviously.
Yeah. So anyway, Mary is miserable. So she like comes down to the dinner. They're like doing shots. She's sitting there pouting. She's being like, like she shouldn't be there. Why do we have Mary on the show? Because she's a cult leader, I guess. I guess that's why Bravo's keeping her. But she's nasty to Whitney. She's mad that Whitney wants to do these shots. She's just like no fun. Like no fun. She's kind of like judging all the women.
I was just over it. Like Mary's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to. Like, bitch, leave.
And then
don't bring anything to the show.
Well, so like they do have like this nice dinner that looks delicious. That cheese that was like melted and they were pouring it. Like, oh my God.
I would bathe in a bathtub full of cheese.
Oh my God, me too. And then they had the dietetic s'more.
That's so stupid.
The tiniest s'more ever. I was like, genius.
No, that's dumb. If you're gonna have a s'more, have a s'more.
I think you have a taste. When I was pregnant with Station, that was like one thing I could eat. S'mores. So I'd make them on my stove.
What you would only eat s'mores?
It was like something I could eat. Because remember, I get really sick. I have gotten sick when I'm...
S'mores seem like you'd get sick from s'mores.
I don't know. It was something I could like keep down. I mean, it was one time, but I could keep it down. Anyway, so then they sit down, they're outside, they're sitting by the fire pit, and here's Mary being miserable again. She's going to go to bed. She doesn't want to drink. And Whitney brings up like their argument and says, I thought we were friends. I'm really hurt by what you said. Of course, Mary comes back with, I'm hurt by what you said. Basically, she storms off. She won't engage Whitney. And she just doesn't want to work things out. She thinks Whitney's drunk.
My question is, Whitney, why do you want to work things out with?
Yes, I don't get it.
Like the last time Mary was popular was when she had that role in Gremlins 2. Like, okay, let's just be honest. In that green shirt with that horrible wig, she looks like a little bit like the female gremlin in Gremlins 2.
You're killing me right now.
It's a fact. I don't make up science. This isn't fake news. Look at her and then put her next to a picture of the girl gremlin from Gremlins 2 when they were in the mall where there was a science facility.
Everybody check it out.
Tomato gremlin.
All our watchers, 51 of you. So anyway, so then Mary excuses herself and they start talking about her church, and Whitney feels that she's protected Mary about her church. She feels that like her members worship her, and she feels lied to. She feels like Mary's lied quite a bit about the church and what's going on there. And Lisa is like still mum's the word. She's not saying anything. Jenny calls her out and is like, I noticed that you are not revealed, like you're holding things in. And all of a sudden, Meredith decides to reveal that she had a convo with Mary about the church, that Mary said, which she made a good point, you know, when it comes to the church, people are always going to have an issue with it, which is true, but not, this is a cult. But then Lisa spills out that Cameron had religious trauma and left the church. And Meredith is like, well, then tell me why. Why did he have religious trauma? Why did he leave the church? And quickly, Lisa says he mortgaged his house for $300,000 for the church.
So that's his choice. Look, he's running good enough game where she can get people to give her money thinking she's God. Then, lady, more like you're crazy. You look like the Gremlins too, lady.
But interesting, she's saying that Jen is a horrible person. And at the end of the episode, what are we hearing? She's doing similar things.
Yeah. They're both
anyway, that's both the episode.
And wonderful, bravo. The only minorities on the show, the only people of color on the show are like
that are like
when you're thinking about diversity, could you like possibly like not do this?
Well, we have Garcelle.
Yeah, Garcelle is on another show.
I know, but I'm trying to point out this was
the first Housewives franchise that had
color, and here they are. And they're now stealing from people.
Then Jenny, she's gonna add more mess. The only two that look good are Whitney and Heather, and I love them both, but like they're blonde and white.
Exactly.
It's like Hitler's dream.
I know. It's the truth.
I mean, the way they're making it look like minorities are bad.
Yeah, bravo.
But we're not going to be minorities for long. Don't worry. We're going to mix with all of your children.
That's right. Let's move on because we don't want this to be terribly long.
Yes. Moving on to Housewife
in the Shah Shocker.
For me, it would be like.
Anyway, Jen Shah, who her designer who she abused called her, I guess she calls herself the Wizard of Oz, and he said she's not the Wizard of Oz, she's the Wicked Witch of the West.
The show was, just so you guys know, the show in comparison to The Housewife and The Hustler is a dud. I didn't learn anything new.
We did not.
I did meet a new. I did
learn something new.
Oh, what did you learn?
So I did learn that Stuart had a house to put up for collateral when he was paying his bail, and she had no assets.
Oh,
so
yeah,
she had to pay the $250,000 cash.
He is Stu, her assistant. Like, why is he your assistant?
Something else is going on there. And I had never met the fashion designer who was designing all of her clothing, who quit and left her, who she accused of taking advantage of her. But really, we see the videos. We see her abusing him.
She throws a bowl of chili at him.
She threw a bowl of chili at him. I mean,
have you ever been to DC and had Ben's Chili Bowl?
No.
It's like famous chili in DC. It's like
no.
It's like having like a Chicago dog at like a famous Chicago place.
That's like there's chili in Ohio that's also very famous. I can't think of it.
Cleveland is
Skyline Chili.
Skyline Chili, yeah. It's like Skyline Chili, but like anyway, I would never throw a bowl of chili at it would go into my mouth. How rude.
No, I mean the whole thing is so horrible. I mean, of course we understand why he left. And she claims that she provided services and she provided resources to finish the dresses that she needed, like her reunion dress, and he didn't deliver. I don't believe that for a second. She's a bitch who is abusive. And we see that on the show. Even though we meet her aunt in the docuseries, I was wondering, is that the aunt with the The amputee, is that the
I don't know what and it is, but
hospital gate?
she looks just as old as
But
Jen Shah.
hospital gates?
Does she not look as old as Jen Shah?
Well, Jen Shaw's has so much filler in her. There's not a wrinkle anywhere.
I feel like Jen Shah.
Did you see the one thing? So we'll get there, but
yeah.
Dana Wilkie's found her LinkedIn page and we see like the old Jen Shah. Jen Shah did not look like Jen Shah.
Jen Shah looked like she worked for an online university.
Jen Shah looked like she worked for an online university. Jen Shah looked like she lived in Indiana somewhere.
I know.
And was like,
why'd you have to bring up Indiana, huh?
Going to church every day. Very wholesome.
I know.
Anyway, they do discuss the relationship between Stuart and Jen and how weird it was. I wonder if it was romantic.
Ew, did you see? So gross.
I know their relationship, when you look back on it, is so odd.
You think he gave her the shocker?
Probably.
I was getting tired in the show. They're like, Shah amazing.
I
Shah
know.
fabulous. I was like, Shawshank Redemption.
That's so good. Why didn't I think of that? I'm mad I didn't think of that.
Come on. This is stupid.
And they go over like how watching the show, apparently when she was interviewing to be a housewife, she said she spent $50,000 a month, which doesn't add up with her, now of course everyone's having a field day going back, right? The FBI is having a field day going back on her
$50,000 a month is, for me that's normal because I spend that on Red Lobster.
Oh really? Yeah. Good for you. You could ask someone to invite you out to the Red Lobster.
We're going to the Red Lobster.
Yeah, they could email you too. It doesn't have to be me. At our email.
Oh boy.
Do you want to tell them our email?
Yes. Oh, our email is realityhatef@gmail.com. That's REALITYHATEF@gmail.com. You can say, I want to have a date with Vank.
Yes. So anyway, back to the docuseries. They're exact. What they are actually charged with is conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering. One holds a maximum of 20 years and the other 30. And I guess she claims she was just selling leads. So we learn exactly what she was doing. And the people, we also learn like who she was affecting. We meet some of these people who were victims. I guess when she got out of prison, she started a Free Jen Shah hashtag.
Did it trend?
No, for herself. It's so pathetic. I was like, what? That's ridiculous.
It's like when people who are like not super famous like have cameos.
The cameo thing I can't take.
I'm like,
cameo. I can't do that.
Listen, there are some actors that I think we know that if they had a cameo and they do it, they'd be like, I'll do a line from like one of my like classic lines, says that I get. The like random people like.
Trust me, I know. You and I both know.
I've had this conversation.
Hashtag.
But who's buying the cameos?
$25,000. $25,000.
For $2,000, you can hang out with 3 of our friends.
So anyway, how it started though, what else we learned was how they found her, right? There was a guy that they arrested for narcotics and he was involved in a telemarketing fraud as well, which he kind of gave up. And then they linked Jen Shah to it because they saw that it was going on in Arizona, Utah, among other states and cities. And basically these lead lists, which is what she said she was selling, they would pass from one floor to another and they would sell false products, right? Let me help coach you to improve selling your product. Let me build your website. Let me help you with social media. And they never really existed. And one of the victims, the first victim we meet is Charlene, who invested $30,000. It was horrible. And I don't think she was actually investing 30,000. She, I think bought something for less than $100. Then these people would start calling and they were charging her credit card. And they said at one point, they have like recordings of telemarketers basically saying like, yeah, Charlene, like, I think I charged $20,000 on her credit card today. I mean, they knew what they were doing, these telemarketers.
But my problem is though, like, I mean, these people are so gullible.
They're old though. And like Penny Puckett, who didn't have any money, was struggling, made these blankets, which I actually went online to see if I could find out how to buy one, because I would buy one and give them to my friends having a No, but maybe it will take off now, right? But she wanted to try and sell these blankets to make money. They had fallen on hard times. They're actually like, I mean, they're to keep the baby warm in the stroller. Yeah.
You should probably steal it.
Oh my God. Jen Shah too. That's my partner. So anyway, she went online to see if she could figure out how to like promote, because she was 67 years old. She doesn't know. So she bought one thing for $97.
Yeah.
That, of course, then she was sold on a lead list. And then they started calling her. She said she started getting calls from all over, offering to build her website, offering to help her on social media, offering, all these things. The next thing you know, she invested $9,000. And she said she started in September, and by March, she had spent $29,000. She never sold one blanket.
Can I tell you something though? Like, I know it's older, but then I think of like my parents who are immigrants who came here from another country, and like they would never.
But I mean, I know of friends whose family members are older, very smart, educated, and fell prey to like these weird telemarketers. Like I have a friend who, I mean, this happened to their grandfather, and it was
I've only fallen prey to fuckboys.
The other thing is Dana Wilkie did find out. She found her LinkedIn page where she has like the very like wholesome photo, and it doesn't even look like Jen Shah.
She's like, I'm a good person.
I mean, it was crazy that she was the director of business development at Prosper Inc. And then she moved into, and at Prosper Inc., by the way.
What happens at Prosper Inc. on retreats?
I feel like I'm talking. Do you want to tell?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, tell it.
You know what they do? So on their retreats, which I think is a really good idea. And by the way, Gia, I think
we should do this as a bonding exercise.
Yeah, I want to start
Maybe
with
we'll do it at Dash on Thursday. I'm going to waterboard you first in the urinal in the bathroom.
That was like my mid-30s at the Eagle. My mouth open,
it'll be a good bonding exercise.
And waterboard me, but not with water.
Anyway, tell them.
So they would waterboard people. They're like, breathing is for closers. I'm like, bitch.
Yeah, they're like, do you see how hard he's working to breathe? You should be working this hard to make sales. Jen Shah was behind that.
She seems like she really would like to waterboard a motherfucker.
Yes.
Jen Shah needs to get waterboarded.
Also, as soon as Dana Wilkie posted her LinkedIn page on Instagram, Jen Shah deleted her LinkedIn page.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that Jen Shah looks a little like the Predator from the movie The Predator?
No.
Does she not? She does.
Maybe she is the Predator.
She's kind of. She was a predator. But did she not look like the Predator?
Maybe we'll remove her skin, and sure enough, that's what she is.
I wonder if her mouth is shaped like a vagina.
Oh my God. I mean, it kind of is. They look at it.
See, the other thing, it's so Bravo. So first they got the minorities looking like creatures from movies. Like, it's racist.
I mean, just in Salt Lake City.
So anyway,
in 2011, She moves to another company where she becomes VP of business development called Prosper. Now, the thing about Prosper is in 2015, this is where Jen should have known, like, yeah, I shouldn't do what Prosper's doing.
Yeah.
The FTC deposed Jen. Oh, no, she left Prosper. I'm sorry. She left Prosper and she went to Thrive, which is another telemarketing company. In 2011. And then she ultimately left Thrive. But in 2015, she was deposed about her work at Thrive. And they were fined $27 million for deceptive sale practices.
That's what
by the FTC.
The middle America, because of the economy and because of the way our country's working, like, meanwhile, China's like, we're so indebted to China and they're on the cusp of everything groundbreaking. All the skills Americans have is to steal money from people.
I know. Well, and this is the other weird thing. So they were saying that Jen and Stuart had started messaging each other in encrypted messages.
And starting shell companies all over the world.
Right.
And what was the country they did? Where were they at? Some random country too.
Yeah, very random. I don't remember off the top of my head. Do you?
Weird. No.
And so basically they're saying like they're just trying to prove that she went from selling leads to selling false products, which she did. You know what I mean? She could never actually fully explain her job. And it was because she was doing bad things.
She's like, I have a lot of companies. I do a lot of company things, and we company. And we're like, we do company.
And like I sell, you know, you like see, like click, you know, you like click on it and then like, you know what you want to buy. And so like,
and then she's like, then I'm like, but is one of your companies like trying to kill Arnold Schwarzenegger in the jungle?
We then learn about one other victim, Marie Walker, who was trying to start a health and beauty business.
I know, that one hurt me too.
She lost $18,000, you know, in the company. And like Jen Shah is tied to it. It was one of her companies. And basically they told her they were going to help build her website. And then she went to go get it fixed and it was down. The company was gone.
Error.
And they were charging. I mean, It's so awful.
I think, honestly, you know, I think she's guilty, but more importantly, I think she belongs in Hunter's Cove. My private island.
I think she does too. And seriously, I want her jewelry collection. I mean, I know that the government is going to go through all the videos and like collect everything that she had and like try to pay back these people who have lost thousands of dollars, but like, I want them.
I know. It was like I saw House of Gucci the other night, and there's a scene where they go in and do the same thing, and I'm like, oh my God! Imagine being a Fed in the Gucci House of Gucci. I would like steal so much, and you know, FBI and CIA steal a bunch of shit. Like they're the reason why we had a crack epidemic. They're the worst people on earth. Just kidding. I love you guys. Reagan was a great president. Piece of shit.
But I mean, it is crazy. I mean, so Stuart ultimately did take a plea deal, right? He took a plea deal. He's waiting to be sentenced.
Jen's going down.
He pleaded guilty to hiding money and committing perjury, but he didn't say who he did it with. So Jen is in big trouble for her case because she's saying she's not guilty. If they make him testify against her, she's in big trouble. She is in big trouble.
Yeah.
And it's just like they keep saying like her continuing to be on this show, her flaunting money and wealth, you know, she doesn't get it. Asking for Kim Kardashian as her legal team, like to be a part of her legal team. Like if she were smart, she would stop filming, but she's not.
Here's the thing. If she stopped filming, I would not watch the show.
I know. What would we watch? I mean, of course, that's what they say in the documentary. Like she is why people are watching at this point.
Like I'm not like Mary Cosby. I'll see if the cult thing hits, then I'm in. But like if the cult thing does not become a cult, if I do not learn that somebody's getting branded, like in XCM or XYZ,
Nexium, and like being forced into sex with Mary because her grandfather and she and her grandfather don't get along anymore.
then she's gone. Then Gremlin's gone, and I only have Predator.
Well,
I need my Predator.
They did pose that question though. Should she be able to continue making money as a housewife? Like, considering she's flaunting her wealth and because of victimizing other people.
I think yes. Here's the deal.
Oh, and the other thing is, after she was arrested, she made an appearance at Hustler New York for a lap dance party.
Love it.
I mean, she's making the money.
Now listen, Woody Allen still makes movies.
I mean, we'll see about that after that docu-series that just came out.
I mean, I know that was so good. I mean, so bad.
So bad.
Like, people still like love Michael Jackson. And, you know, I was at Sundance the year that
he's not making any more music.
He's also dead. But
right.
But people are still buying his records.
This is different.
Well, it's not molesting children.
It's stealing. It's putting retired people on budgets, people who already didn't have, in very bad situations, so that you could like have your amazing life in your rented chalet.
I don't know. Sometimes, I know this is going to sound bad, but if you're easily able to get conned.
No, don't.
I'm kidding.
Don't say stuff like that. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah. You know what? Jen Shah deserves to get spanked, and I deserve to get spanked. Somebody call me. I'm not evil. I like all those elderly people. I think they should have their money back. Anyway, I'm Thank.
I'm Jaya. Bye. Woohoo! Woohoo! Woohoo!
Okay, start.
Blackwater. We like it.
So good.
Quenches that thirst.
So good.